After spending time watching Peppa Pig, it begins to beg some questions like, why is Miss Rabbit a Jill of all trades? Or why are the animals of the same size? Well, here is a compilation of some specific details about Peppa Pig you never noticed. So yeah, Peppa Pig, an all-around amazing show, while being a pretty educative and fun show, is packed with a couple of other things too. But as all animation shows are, there are always some details you just have to take note of. And here are some of them. First off, why are all the houses on a hill? This is a really important and highlighted detail that you'd either notice or not notice at all, because every house that a car drives to, there's a hill, and the house happens to be on top of this hill. I'd love to see the geographical map of the land in Peppa Pig. We should have at least 1 or 2 volcanoes in there. Peppa's house, Madame Gazelle's, even the grandparents' home. Imagine Grandma and Grandpa Pig's car had a fault and they had to climb up the hill. We could have a Jack and Jill went up the hill story all over again. Even the school is on a mountaintop. Maybe we should blame Daddy Pig, who is an architect and possibly is the main reason why they decided to build everything on top of a hill. But anyways, Peppa Pig is a complete replica of a child's drawing, and as a show that is created to emulate a child's imagination, it's okay to put every single building on top of a hill. You're off the hook this time, Peppa Pig. Next time, you won't be so lucky. Now this detail to note is actually one for the overthinkers, just like me, and a billion others out there who are curious about this just as I am. Now, the huge question, why on earth are some animals still animals? Even as Peppa Pig depicts animal caricatures and, well, animal behaviors and patterns, the storyline is to understand that animals in the Peppa Pig universe are just like you and me, basically. These animals walk straight, they own homes, human homes, they drive human cars also. And hell yeah, these dudes even have a school, and these animals do the work every human does in a city. But why are there some exceptions to this rule? For example, ducks. In Peppa Pig, ducks are just ducks. They just swim around the pond all day, quacking and eating bread. This is injustice, and I call for race equality among all animals. Now who's with me? Hashtag justice for the ducks. Oh well, this is just the reality in the Peppa Pig universe. In some scenes, the pigs could be, well, just pigs, oinking all day long. But there seems to be a pattern to this though, as it recognizes only the mammals as humans in the show, while reptiles, birds, and fish are not. Instead, they are kept as pets. Now, we have a jack of all trades, or should I say a Jill of all trades, because I really don't understand how Mrs. Rabbit does all the jobs in the series. What is this? Is she an alien, or does she have just, well, so many doppelgangers? It would make so much sense that she just happens to have so many siblings, and all are scattered around the world, completely replicating the mass reproduction of rabbits in the Rabbit Kingdom. Mrs. Rabbit has been a helicopter pilot, an aquarium caretaker, a gift shop assistant, a supermarket cashier, and even a face painter. That's not all, I just didn't want to spend the entire video highlighting how many jobs Mrs. Rabbit has been aired doing. Don't forget when she carried Peppa and her family as a taxicab driver to Hollywood. She should be a billionaire in this show because her resume is looking so stacked. Could it be possible that Mrs. Rabbit does so many jobs, or are there several Mrs. Rabbits doing those jobs? Well, it became clear when the show aired the episode, Mrs. Rabbit's Day Off. Mrs. Rabbit ends up breaking her ankle in this particular episode, and the entire town had to help in any way they could to do the job she was undertaking at that point in time. And also, in another separate episode, she is given an award, the Queen's Award for Industry. And to even create a more interesting twist to it all, for Mrs. Rabbit to be available to even collect that gift, the Queen of the state had to declare a national holiday. Wow, that's crazy, to be honest, and this just proves that Mrs. Rabbit undertakes more than one job. Ever notice that Peppa and George only have a set of grandparents, just one from their mother's side, as there was no record of them having any grandparents that Peppa Pig called dad or mom? One could have easily said they were deceased, and the show decided not to mention it at all during the program so as not to make youngsters watching it sad and, in a pretty bad mood. While there are several reasons why this is a detail on the show, one very unpopular one is that Mommy Pig and Daddy Pig are actually siblings, which is a reality we can't rule out, as the episode where Daddy Pig and Mommy Pig gifted Grandpa Pig Mommy Pig's old computer, in the study they actually found a picture of 2 little pigs. But it was in black and white, so obviously it wasn't Peppa and George. But what if it was Mommy Pig and Daddy Pig? Well, I don't know, I have no idea. All I know is we haven't seen Daddy Pig's grandparents, or we see them every time but just don't know them. But still, there could be several explanations as to how or why Daddy Pig doesn't have a grandparent. One of them could just be to not confuse preschoolers, as the concept of having several grandparents is really rare, as one or two might have passed away at one point in time, leaving the other two. And also, the idea of making the show a story of a perfect nuclear family is pretty evident and totally clear enough. Now, the sizes of the animals in the show is one to note. Even in shows where animals depict human lives and all, the likes of Sing and Zootopia, the sizes vary. Even in Madagascar or The Lion Guard, the sizes of animals are different according to their size in the real world. But in Peppa Pig, in the Peppa Pig universe, the animals are actually the same size, from the elephant down to the hamster or even the gazelle. They are all of the same size, which you'd normally think, why is it that way? An elephant is way bigger than a pig and even a hamster, but when Emily the elephant made her premiere on the show, she was literally the same size as Peppa, the pig. And hell yeah, we all know that pigs and elephants aren't the same size, even the kids know it. But isn't this particular detail going to derail the kids? Well, if you ask me. But majorly, the kids watching the show don't really care about all that though. All they can see and literally love is the fact that animals are talking. And yeah, it's a kid's dream to see an animal talking. Any kid would do anything to get that Sophia the First amulet. And finally, we all know Peppa and George are siblings, with Peppa being the older one. But shockingly, both of them are in the same class in school, which naturally shouldn't be so, to say the least, though George should be in a lesser class to Peppa. Let's not mislead the kids into thinking that it's perfectly normal for them to be in the same class as their older siblings. Well, except if the older sibling has a learning disorder or the younger is just blatantly a genius. And that's a wrap on the small details you never noticed in Peppa Pig. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more surprising insights.